What's good, YouTube? It's me, your boy Squiddy, back in another Squid video. Today, we're going to take a look at some of the cool tech choices that are actually a little bit obscure, but might be relevant post-ban list and obviously post-Legacy of Destruction. So without further ado, let's dive in. And the first card I'm going to talk to you guys about is none other than a way to summon out Thunder Dragon Colossus. This is one of the premier floodgate monsters that has been on the ban list basically since it was released because it was so busted. A walking Thunder King Ryo-esque effect preventing your opponent from adding any cards to their hand is always busted. So there's actually an easy way to make this, and that's off one single card. Yep, if you guys remember this bad boy, he was a little hyped during the Thunder format, and his name is the Ascended of Thunder. He's a level 7 monster with a whopping 2800 attack that says you can pay 3000 life points as a trigger effect from your hand to special summon him out. Now, if you guys have been playing as long as I have, then you'll probably remember the good old-fashioned The Immortal of Thunder that was released in Metal Raiders over 20 years ago. Well, this bad boy got a retrain that's a lot better. He's a level 7 that has an ignition effect in your hand where you can pay 3000 life points to special summon him out for basically no cost besides life points. And then when he's destroyed by your opponent's card, you can actually gain up to 5000 life points, so you're at a net positive. But most importantly, we care about the fact that he activates in the hand and the fact that he's a Thunder monster, which fulfills the conditions of Thunder Dragon Colossus that says you can actually bypass and cheat this card out from your extra deck by tributing a non-fusion Thunder monster during the turn that you activated a Thunder monster's effect in your hand, which we fulfilled by special summoning out the Ascended of Thunder. Not to mention this card actually has a whopping 2700 attack, so even if we've already burned the Colossus, we can still summon this guy as an extender or start smacking down the opponent because 2700 is nothing to scoff at. The fact that he is level 7 does pair well with certain decks that are out there, maybe Kastira, being able to overlay. And then on top of that, the fact that Colossus is level 8 also helps that you can XYZ in the right type of deck. If you're playing like a XC's 8 spam deck, then this could definitely come in handy where you're using Colossus as an extender in addition to him being a floodgate. So these are just some options you can definitely check out with the card. I think the card is really, really cool. The fact that it's a 1-card Colossus that you just basically have to side in 3 of this card going first. And if you draw it, boom, Colossus hits the table and you can do some damage to your opponent that way. All right, up next is another card that's very obscure, but this is actually in the KURIPHOTON family. Yep, his name is KURIPHOTON. And you're probably gonna have to do a double take and read this card because you're like, what the heck does this card do? It has a quick effect where you can send it from your hand to the graveyard and pay 2000 life points, and then for the rest of the turn, you take 0 damage at all. Now, why is this relevant? Well, if you guys remember, TENPAI dragons are coming out, and this is a heavily focused Go second OTK deck that can spit out over 40,000 damage off of basically 1 card, more or less. So we have to have ways to actually protect against that, and KURIPHOTON happens to be one of those ways. The main thing is that this card is a quick effect that can be activated during the main phase and not in the battle phase, because there are a variety of synchros that the TENPAI dragons actually play, which prevent their opponent from activating monster effects in the battle phase. Meaning cards like Swift Scarecrow and Battle Fader are just not nearly as good. But that's not the only thing. KURIPHOTON can actually be searched via a variety of extra deck monsters. For starters, number 90, Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord. He is a generic XYZ rank 8 that allows you to detach a material and take a Galaxy or a Photon card and add it to your hand. So you make this guy in your opponent's draw step, you activate it, add a copy of KURIPHOTON to your hand, and then you're basically protected for the rest of the turn from battle damage and dying, unless they have something crazy like a Called by the Grave. But for those of you guys that don't actually have any rank 8 decks out there, there's actually one rank 4 as well called Galaxy Photon Dragon, who also allows you to detach material and add 1 Galaxy or a Photon card from your deck to your hand. So these are just some options in the right deck that you can just tutor out this monster and then search for KURIPHOTON, so you're always safe from TENPAI dragons and you're guaranteed to live a turn. And it's really nifty that this guy's a fiend, so it can actually come in clutch in the right deck, maybe like a Yugioh deck where you're actually dependent on a monster's typing, so it can serve as a potential extender if you happen to hard draw it. Okay, speaking of TENPAI dragons, yes, this is a deck that's going to be probably floating around everywhere just because of how powerful it is, and it's relatively budget safe for Trident Dragon, but we won't go there. Which is why I had to scour the entire card pool to search for dragon hate cards, and the one that I caught off the top of my head was none other than the Buster Blader engine. If you guys remember, sometime around COVID, there was actually a Buster Dragon deck that was somewhat viable, and they made heavy use of the signature trap card, Prologue of the Dragon Destruction Swordsman. This card says as a cost, send 1 Destruction Sword card and 1 Buster Blader monster from your deck to your hand, then special summon out a Buster Dragon directly from your extra deck. Now, Buster Dragon has a continuous effect that changes everything to dragons, which is somewhat relevant if you're not playing against a dragon deck, but obviously the TENPAI dragons are already dragon. So we're actually going to dump a copy of Buster Blader alongside Destruction Sword Memories, which can be banished from your graveyard to immediately fuse into a Buster Blader fusion monster by banishing the cards from your graveyard needed to fuse into it. So as long as you have another way to get a dragon into the graveyard, potentially even linking off the onboard Buster Dragon, then you can trigger the effective Destruction Sword in your graveyard to then special summon out a walking floodgate against dragon decks in the form of Buster Blader, the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman. This guy actually says that it gains 1,000 attack and defense for every dragon monster your opponent controls or in their graveyard for a whopping, over 10,000 damage if he has a lot of dragons in their graveyard. But more importantly, it changes all dragon monsters your opponent controls to defense mode permanently. It becomes a dragon capture jar, and also it prevents dragon monsters in your opponent's possession from activating their effects, which means anywhere, not just the field, but the graveyard, the hand, the deck, wherever it would activate, it's in their possession, so it's not going to fire off. Now, obviously, this is very tailored towards a dragon deck, but maybe you could use the traps creatively in the right deck where you can search them, for example, in Labyrinths, being able to set the prologue to your table. But also, this can be used against generic decks as a going first package. You're siding in 5 cards, 3 copies of the Prologue, 1 copy of the Destruction Sword, and then 1 copy of the Buster Blader. Unfortunately, there are 2 bricks, but this could potentially be mitigated by running a copy of Protector Whelp of the Destruction Swordsman, a Link 2 monster that allows you to foolish a Destruction Sword from your deck, and then you can also special summon out a Buster Blader from your hand if you hard bricked on it. This package can also be sided in against any deck, as long as you leave the Buster Dragon on the table, because while you have Buster Dragon plus Buster Blader, the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman, that means that all of your opponent's monsters will be treated as dragon, meaning they will not be able to activate their effects or be able to switch to attack position. Hey guys, before we dive in, I actually wanted to share with you a product that I'm actually selling. Yes, a bit of a shameless plug, but what you're seeing on screen is SQUIDDY'S Masterclass. So these are going to be a series of guides that go very in-depth for a particular deck, and this one that I've completed so far is the Snake Eyes Fire King. You can see here we talk about deck building, going into the optimal end boards, playing into hand traps. So basically every hand trap where you get hand trapped at a certain choke point, we're going to talk about, and some general tips about the deck. We go very, very detailed. We included a bunch of replays from Dueling Book actually embedded here, so when you get hand trapped at a certain location, what you're supposed to do to adapt, and then the best ways that you can actually play into those hand traps. So this is actually available now. The full slides are actually over 60 slides alongside a 3-hour recording of myself actually going over these slides and just talking about the plays and the deck in general. So if you guys want to up your competitive game as a Fire King Snake Eye player, or just learn how to beat the deck, this is definitely a good resource for you, I would say. So I'm pricing this at $20 USD, which is a little steep, but I guarantee you guys there's lots of value in this, and the payment allows me to spend time on this and actually bring you guys more meta relevant content and bring it to you at a high competitive level. So if you guys are interested, there's a link below in the description. Now, that being said, I will definitely be still making a lot of free stuff on YouTube, talking about a lot of decks in here and there, but if you guys want exclusive content that's very, very detailed, then this is definitely something you guys can check out. Other than that, let's dive back into this video. Thanks a lot for taking the time to listen to this. Now, enough with the Tenpai Dragon hate. For all you Tenpai Dragon lovers out there, I actually have something on the flip side, and this is a cool engine that I think might work. And this is an existing engine that you guys all know and love, the Dragunity engine. Yep, you guys know Dragon Ravine. It's been a staple in the dragon-based Link decks, and it's no different in this package. Specifically, what we want to do is side in a whole package. 3 copies of Dragunity Remist, which allows you to ditch it from your hand to add a copy of Dragon Ravine to your hand, and then while you control Dragunity monster in your field, you can actually special summon it back as a level 2 tuner monster to then synchro off. Now, how it works is we will be activating Dragon Ravine after ditching Remus, then ditching a card for Dragon Ravine's cost to search for Dragunity Legatus, who allows you to special summon it while you control Dragon Ravine. From there, because we control the Dragunity Remus, we can synchro off the Legatus and the Remus to go off into the Dragunity Knight Gaydarg, who has a once per turn effect that you can add a level 4 or lower dragon or winged beast monster from your deck to your hand, then discard a dragon or winged beast monster. So not only does this add consistency for you to actually search for your starters like Tenpai Dragon Bedora, but also have the unique ability, if you're playing something along the lines of Mist Valley Baby Rock, to search for Baby Rock, discard it, and then trigger the effect of Baby Rock to special summon it back. Then from there, because Baby Rock is a level 2 tuner, you can use it with Gaydarg to go off instantly into Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon the hard way, because this card requires an onboard non-tuner synchro monster, which Gaydarg fulfills the role of. So you're basically starting off your plays if they force you to go first, and you're not even using your normal summon. You're just committing a Crystal Wing to the board immediately, and then from there, you're able to use your regular Tenpai Dragon plays to maybe put up a Hieratic Seal or some more disruption along lines. I mean, Dragon Ravine is just a cool card in general. You can foolish a lot of things from your deck as well. You can send Blaster, Dragon Ruler of Infernos, bring it back. There are a lot of cool options with this card, so this is potentially a engine that you could try using instead of something like a Heat Wave. It's definitely a lot more budget, but obviously there are a lot more cards you do have to side in to fulfill this purpose. And then, of course, the one thing to note is that there is actually a link monster tying all of this shenanigans together, and that's none other than Dragunity Knight Romulus, who requires 2 dragons and can search for Ravine upon the summon. So there are some ways you can actually summon this out quite easily, just with Pandora and Drongdora. And of course, from there, search Ravine and start going off near your place, searching for the missing Dragunity cards so you can actually combo off. And yeah, I know we're talking a lot about Tenpai Dragons, but I found another card that's somewhat good against them, and you guys probably recognize this guy. He's a very, very stubborn little bird. The Xyz monster, KIKINAGASHI FUCHO. Yep, this is a rank 1 Xyz that says it's unaffected by other card effects, which is a huge effect if you know Yu-Gi-Oh! Yep, it's unaffected by anything, and also he has a quick effect that you can detach 2 materials, and for the rest of the turn, he cannot be destroyed by battle, and you take no battle damage involving this card. So this is highly effective if you do want to insulate against Tenpai Dragons going first. You can just somehow get 2 level 1s on board if you're playing a deck like Snake Eyes, summon out the Fucho, and then you are guaranteed to live a turn, barring something crazy like a Santa Claus or a Kaiju tributing over it. But the best part about this card is it has dual utility because you can actually use it against D-Shifter decks. When you get Shiftered, you can end on a Fucho and effectively skip their turn so Shifter wears off. This could also come in handy against Tenpai Dragons because some of the players are actually smartly teching in copies of Dimension Shifter because they can still do over 8k damage even with it. So yeah, those are all the cards I want to talk to you guys about today. What do you think? Are there any cards that we're missing that are also pretty good in the format? Let us know in the comments below. Other than that, thanks a lot for subscribing and smashing that like button. See you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.